The past 14 months or so were undoubtedly some of the most exciting the CPU market has seen in what seems like forever. AMD rocketed themselves back into the spotlight with the launch of their phenomenal Ryzen lineup, giving consumers more horsepower in the CPU arena, while Intel continued to serve up the same sloppy helpings of quad cores for over a decade. In response though, Intel had no choice but to stop resting on their laurels and eventually did the same with their chips in the form of Coffee Lake. Good job, Intel. But while the consumer desktop CPU market finally received the blue team's sorely needed higher core count treatment, mobile systems have been left by the wayside for a while now, just like my PUBG partners who steal my loot. Yeah, I know, I'm that guy. So what gives? Where are Intel's true 8th gen mobile chips, and will they be worth the wait when they finally get here? Well, while no one can answer either of those questions with any kind of certainty yet, rumors and leaks are certainly trying their darndest. Firstly though, the truth is that Intel's 8th generation mobile range is already here and has been for a while. In August of last year, Intel launched a range of chips under the Kaby Lake refresh umbrella, and Intel very much considers them as part of the 8th generation mobile lineup. It's nice that Intel would include Kaby Lake refresh in the 8th gen, but like, it's like that odd kid from down the street who comes over and stays at your house all the time, eating your food, playing your video games, not really hanging out with your kid, but just kind of there, like one of those. That's what Kaby Lake refresh is. But maxing out at 4 cores, 8 threads, and featuring slightly less than impressive clock speeds, chips like the Core i5-8250U and the i7-8550U just don't feel all that 8th gen, at least not when compared to desktop Coffee Lake. But as I'm sure many of you will point out, we're not talking about desktop chips here. Where is mobile Coffee Lake? Whoa there, Nelly, calm down. We're getting to that. Coffee Lake Mobile is definitely brewing. Ha, coffee puns, if most of the leaks and rumors surrounding it are to be believed. Multiple tech sites have been reporting that a large portion, if not the entire Coffee Lake chip lineup, has been leaked, and there's a whole lot to be excited about here. Kicking things off, according to the leak, will be the flagship of the bunch, the Core i9-8950HK. This particular chip will reportedly be fairly beefy, coming in hot with 6 cores, 12 threads, 12 megabytes of L3 cache, a TDP between 45 and 65 watts, and as for clock speeds, the 8950HK is expected to run at a base frequency of 2.9 gigahertz, boostable to 4.3 gigahertz on all cores, and when just one core is being pushed to the max, could boost as high as 4.8 gigs. The little K at the end of the 8950HK also likely points to the chip being fully unlocked for overclocking. However, as exciting as all of those numbers are, I'm pissed at Intel. Why are you calling it the i9? You had the i7HKs. What were they? They were unlocked, the top tier processors that you could actually overclock. They're the exact same as the basic ones, you just have extra wiggle room. But no, Intel wants to get all fancy. They want to talk about it being i9 instead of i7, which is just a marketing thing. Like, you're not getting any better processor than you were from a 7820HK over a 7700HQ. It's the same gosh dang thing, just with different clock setups. And that's what they're doing here, but they want to give it a different product SKU. Anyways, I'm ranting. I don't like the marketing because it already existed and now they're just making it fancier. Not a fan of fancy. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm not a fan of fancy. But also joining the party are 2 new Core i7, 2 new Core i5s, and 2 Xeon chips, all based on the Coffee Lake architecture. The i7-8850H, not HQ, because they're not quad cores anymore, and they're just not going to put like a S at the end, or yes, for hecta? It's hectacore. It would be HH, right? Yeah, hectacore. Hexagon. Yeah, no, I'm being dumb. Yeah, it's not like HH, so it's not HQ, so they just dropped the second H. Why is it not H squared, Intel? Come on, marketing's perfect there. They share the same core and thread count as the i9, but they lose out when it comes to clock speeds and cache. Equipped with 9 megabytes of L3 cache, the 8850H runs at significantly lower base clock of 2.6 gigs, features an all-core boost clock of 4 gigs, and a single-core boost clock of 4.2. The chip also doesn't feature the K designation, which means it won't be overclockable. Or it might be, who knows? Intel does weird things sometimes. Another i7 part has also serviced on a few websites in the form of the i7-8750H with the same core and thread count, cache, and TDP, with slightly reduced clock speeds being the only differentiator. The i5 chips are a little less impressive, with both the 8300H and 8400H featuring only 4 cores and 8 threads. Why are these not HQs, Intel? But both chips ship with 8 megabytes of L3 cache and TDP of 45 watts. Excuse me, geez. They're also slightly more sluggish in the clock speed department, one more so than the other, of course, same with the i7. The A400H has a base frequency of 2.5 with an all-core boost of 4.1, which is actually 100 Hz more than the i7's, and a single core boost of 4.2 GHz. The A300H, while being the least impressive of the bunch, still manages a more than respectable base clock of 2.3 and an all-core boost of 3.9 GHz and a single core boost of 4 GHz. The two new Xeon parts detailed in the leak include the E2186M and the E2176M. The former is pretty much identical to the Core i9-8950HK, right down to the TDP, with likely the only difference being features and optimizations aimed at heavy workstation users and probably overclocking as well. The marginally less powerful E2176M follows suit, with the main difference being a small hit to clock speeds and a drop to 9 megabytes of L3 cache. Completing the trifecta of Intel's 8th gen mobile architectures is expected to be the much anticipated, perpetually delayed Cannonlake. The Cannonlake architecture will be built on the 10 nanometer process and has been hyped up by Intel for many years now. Unfortunately, the launch date for chips built on said architecture has been repeatedly pushed back. Like, I don't know, what do you push back? Like an advancing line of soldiers. I don't want to bring up any war because then you just get into political crap and I don't want to do that. Like the Nilfgaardian Empire. That works. But lo and behold, Cannonlake might well be set for a debut sometime this year, according to two supposed leaks. Last month, a reference to Cannonlake-Y series processors was found in official Intel documentation, which was hastily removed. More compelling evidence of Cannonlake's impending unveiling arrived in the form of a 3D Mark database listing. The listing contains, as of yet, an unnamed dual-core 4-thread Cannonlake-Y chip with a base frequency of 1.1 GHz. The chip is also apparently set to feature Gen 10 graphics. We could see this in the new MacBooks. Another surprise listed in the very same leak is yet another unnamed chip, this one supposedly running on the Ice Lake-Y platform, equipped with DDR4 SODIMM memory. We're not too sure what to make of this particular chip, but it's a quad-core 8-thread processor with a base clock of 2.4 GHz. It also seems to support Gen 11 LPI GPU, which is expected to pack 48 execution units and boast a base clock of 600 MHz, which, in case you don't know, that's a pretty dang decent integrated GPU. So, Kaby Lake Refresh is old and uninteresting, and the existence of Cannonlake and Ice Lake-Y mobile seems far too ethereal to dwell on for too long instead, so let's shift focus back to the Intel mobile chips that actually matter and that we'll likely be able to get our hands on relatively soon, hopefully. Coffee Lake Mobile, of course. If the leaks turn out to be accurate, how would mobile Coffee Lake compare to the plethora of mobile chips already on the market? Well, first, let's look at what these chips would mean for Intel's current own offerings, or specifically for the current Kaby Lake and Kaby Lake Refresh and Kaby Lake G lineup. If the leaks hold up, the current Kaby Lake chips are going to die off really quick. None of Kaby Lake's mobile chips can hope to compete with the new counterparts. The new Core i9 is set to outclass every chip in the Kaby Lake range, and the new i7s will dominate over the old ones, and the new i5s will feature double the thread counts of the old i5s. It'll be slaughter, or significantly heavy price drops, because that was also one of the issues that we were seeing with the Kaby Lake mobile ones, was that there was basically very, if none, improvement over the Skylake mobile. And so like companies were bringing in all of the Kaby Lake ones, but they couldn't sell them because people were happy with their Skylake ones. The only difference was the actual GPUs. But if people were happy with the 970M, they're not upgrading to Kaby Lake. So these companies just have Kaby Lake ones just sitting on the shelves, not selling. So hopefully price cuts are in order, because Coffee Lake's just gonna absolutely destroy them, which could be one of the reasons why everything has been delayed, because they didn't want to push it that much. But I mean, Intel, you just made a bad move with Kaby Lake. Nobody liked it, sorry. And then as for the Kaby Lake Refresh chips, while mobile Coffee Lake certainly looks poised to give them all the boot by going by the leak specifications alone, we do well to remember the seemingly unimportant but totally important U included in their product names. The addition of that U means that the Kaby Lake Refresh chips are designed to be ultra low power as possible, and in most of those cases, ultra low power means a TDP of around 15 watts. This makes them perfect for thin and light laptops, since they don't require ultra beefy cooling solutions and won't murder your battery life after a quick Fortnite match. The Coffee Lake mobile chips we've seen leaked online all sport TDP ratings of 45 watts and up. If said leaks turn out to be true, there's little danger of Coffee Lake mobile cannibalizing Kaby Lake Refresh. The Kaby Lake R chips are built for efficiency, while it seems that the Coffee Lake mobile parts are built for pure, unadulterated performance. Which is good, because I just bought my wife a laptop with an i5-8250U, and I would be super ticked if it was already obsolete. I didn't spend this kind of money just to have it go out of date within a few months. I waited until we came back to the States so that I can get her an acceptable laptop at an okay price, because Celeron equipped processors, laptops are going for the same price as what I got this for in South Africa. It's just crazy, absolute madness. But wait, what's this? There's another leak that lists a supposed Coffee Lake Mobile U-Series chip. Again! That's right, there might well be a line of Coffee Lake Mobile U chips on the way too. The leak in question is the i7-8559U, a 4-core, 8-thread chip that features a base clock of 2.7 gigahertz. The chip also seems to include Intel's Iris Plus graphics 650, which WCCF Tech explains is Intel's fastest iGPU to date, featuring 48 execution units, up to 1100 megahertz clock speed, and 64 megabytes of embedded DRAM, which acts as a level 4 cache for the chip. The chip is also expected to have a TDP of 28 watts. Now, even though the chip features a lower TDP than its Coffee Lake H comrades, it's still high compared to the Kaby Lake R's 15 watts. So that alone might be enough to keep the KLR chips relevant, or, you know, this particular leak could turn out to be total hogwash because there's not a whole lot of information on it. Anyways, Intel and AMD's unholy love child, also known as the Kaby Lake G series. Intel and AMD together. While not as impressive in the CPU department when compared to the new chips, should be just fine too. The G series chips were never meant to be the most powerful CPUs in the mobile market space, even if they are more than capable in their own right. The point is Intel's collaboration with the Radeon Technologies Group, and it was to build a chip that featured decent processing power and could run modern games at decent settings and frame rates. Basically an APU. And from what we can tell, they've certainly achieved that. The integrated GPUs on mobile Coffee Lake can't even begin to hold a candle to AMD Vega graphic chips. Speaking of AMD though, their Ryzen mobile range shouldn't have too much of a fight on their hands either. Yes, CPUs have hands, okay? The Ryzen mobile range of chips are all equipped with surprisingly capable Vega graphics, far more so than the UHD 630 reportedly used by the new Coffee Lake mobile parts. This makes them perfect for less expensive mobile systems since they won't require a discrete GPU to run most games at an acceptable settings or frame rates. However, for anyone who prioritizes CPU heavy workloads, going for the higher core count Intel chips makes a whole lot more sense. But then again, notebook makers have shown no hesitation for dropping full desktop versions of Ryzen chips into their systems, so there's that. What you gonna go with, a Ryzen 7 1700 or a Intel i7 whatever 6-core? You get 8 cores on the freaking Asus one. What is it? GL702 ZC. That's what it is. That's a good one. It has an RX 5 84 gig. This is just impressive, but also it's probably gonna cost a heck of a lot more. Anyways, everything considered, Intel's next mobile processor looks to be some real heavy hitters and are genuinely exciting releases. But you know what would have been even more exciting? If the bloody things launched many months ago. Current rumors point to the chips being released later this month or early next month, and it makes no sense. These things should have launched alongside or far closer to the release of desktop Coffee Lake chips, just like what we saw with the launch of Kaby Lake. Instead, Intel gave us Kaby Lake Refresh. Don't get me wrong, they're fine chips with impressively low TDPs, which is good enough for my wife, and will help them stay relevant for at least a little while longer, unless there really is a U-line series of Coffee Lake parts coming. But what about those of us who could have really used Coffee Lake mobiles and add additional cores, threads, and impressive clock speeds at a decent price all those many months ago? Coffee Lake Desktop finally gave Blue Team supporters all of that, so why is it taking this long to give those who prefer mobile systems the exact same gosh dang thing? From where I'm standing, Intel seems to be acting like a chicken with its head cut off ever since Ryzen came out. Ever since their launch, Intel just is scrambling to counter AMD at every opportunity, and in doing so, they're covertly screwing over a large portion of their own consumers. Consumers who would have been able to build or buy superior systems for around the same price points if they had just waited a little while longer. Words. Of course, many of you will chime in saying that in technology, there's always something better coming around the corner, and you are right, but I'm just not a fan of how short that corner is becoming with each new release from Intel, or how unpredictable it's becoming. I like stability in my life, people, okay? But all of that being said, I am still very much looking forward to gaming notebooks equipped with 6 or more high clock chips, especially since we're not too likely to see those from the red team, at least until the new Ryzen desktop processors drop, and even then, like, it's only Asus who's really releasing the laptops with friggin' full desktop Ryzen. Why aren't what Gigabyte, MSI, where are your freaking Ryzen laptops? That's what I want to know. Even then though, it doesn't look like AMD is in a rush to release mobile variants of their killer Ryzen chips. They seem more content with shaking up the desktop region, so maybe we'll see them come into the mobile market like the valiant gallant knights that we've been dreaming of at some point, but until then, it looks like Intel will continue to dominate in this space for a little while longer. But what do you all think of the mobile processor space? Is it something that gets your juices flowing? Or you don't care because who has the money to buy a gaming laptop these days? Let me know your thoughts either down in the comments or over on Twitter. I'm at UFDisciple. And if you're looking to pick up any current or upcoming laptops, Intel or otherwise, you can use our Amazon affiliate code that's in the description to help out our channel without adding a single cent to your purchase. But be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. I am Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Cheers.